listening to Overwatch League Daily, your daily source for Overwatch League news, scores, and more. Here's your host, KickedTripod.
Hey, good morning, Overwatch League fans. This is your Overwatch League Daily episode for May 11th, 2018. We've got a special one for you today as president of gaming for the Boston Uprising, HuK, and his assistant coach, HuK, have agreed to take a few moments from their Boston tour to chat with me a bit about Stage 3 and Stage 4 and what's going on with them in Boston. We'll get into that as quickly as possible, but first we do have a few pieces of news to get through. The Houston Outlaws have finally made official what's been rumored for a few weeks that KuK, the former head coach of the Dallas Fuel, will be joining the Houston Outlaws as an assistant coach. The team now has Tyrong, their head coach, and 3 assistant coaches in the organization. That's all we have for news for today. So really quickly, if you like the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We work hard to bring you awesome content multiple times a week, and any support you can provide helps immensely. You can find out all the details at patreon.com/OWL Daily Show. If financial support isn't an option, please consider voting for me for the community lead for the United States World Cup team. The open endorsement phase ends on May 14th, and every vote helps. Basically, I need to get into the top 10 to go to the next phase. So thank you so much for those who have voted. And if you haven't yet and want to, click on the link in the show notes to cast your vote. Okay, that's enough. Let's get into my interview with HuK and HuK. Something to note, this is an over-the-phone interview that we did in one sitting. They literally just got out of a radio interview, which you should also check out. I'm sure it's on the Boston Uprising Twitter. I sat down with HuK first and then HuK second for the second half of the interview. But here's my interview with HuK and HuK. Thanks so much for taking the time. How are you enjoying Boston so far? Have you been to Boston before?
Yeah, so I grew up in New England, so I've been here probably like 15, 20 times, but it's always really nice to come back. It was awesome seeing our fans. I think the turnout to the events that we did was pretty crazy, and especially for our players, just kind of being able to see that there's so many fans back home is really motivating for them going into Stage 4.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a huge success for you guys doing that tour. I heard like around 600 people showed up to the meet and greet.
Yeah, so we opened registration, and I think the marketing team was expecting like 500 people maybe, but within I think 12 hours of them opening it up, I think we were at like 900. So they actually had to close the sign up really early because there were just so many people interested in coming. So I think it kind of surprised everybody a little bit with how many people were just so interested in seeing the team, which was awesome.
What was the like most outrageous, like, did you get like fans dressing up and things like that?
Yeah, there was a group of fans that came cosplaying, but they were not just the characters, but in, the Boston Uprising skin. So I think we had a May cosplay, an Anna cosplay, and a Diva cosplay, all in the Uprising color, Uprising skin. So that was really cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yep.
So I'd love to talk to you a little bit about the team and the stage that we just finished up with. We actually had Blake Panashevitz, who is the performance coach for the LA Gladiators, on yesterday. And a big thing we talked about was staying focused and avoiding burnout. And something that has been kind of interesting to me is that the Uprising have a roster that is largely pretty static, usually 4 or 5 of the same players in at any time. I'd love to hear for you as a coach what it looks like, how you guys are able to play on such a rigorous schedule without hitting that burnout point.
Yeah, I think that's a struggle for every team in the league right now, just because the schedule is so demanding. 2 matches a week. We play typically 6 days a week, and then on our off days, a lot of the times we try to do team activities, and I think that has helped us a lot to deal with burnout. Just kind of getting the players outside, getting the players doing something together outside of the game. So little things like that really help. And I think also, I don't know what other teams' schedules look like, but for us, we really try to balance practice but with also thinking about not going too overboard and making sure that our players feel rested and feel like they have free time, time to decompress, time to de-stress, do their own thing. So I think that's really important. If you do 8 hours a day of scrims 6 days a week, I think it's kind of inevitable that at some point you're going to have issues. So for us, that's always a concern. That's always something we're thinking about.
Well, in the Boston Uprising, I mean, obviously you're coming off of a huge stage 3, right? Going 10-0 in the regular season, falling just shy of walking away stage 3 champions. So, what did that look like? Because you guys have had some shakeups and turbulence in the coaching staff. So, what does that look like for you, and how has your role kind of shifted and changed over the course of the stage?
I can't talk too much about the situation with Krusty. I think my role throughout stage 3 is probably going to be pretty similar to what it is going into stage 4. I can't really go into much detail about Krusty, but I think overall the stage was a huge success for us, obviously. A lot of really close games, and I think I don't feel like we were necessarily the most dominant team in the league, but in a lot of those really close matches, the guys just really fought hard, and we were able to come out on top. A lot of 3-2s, a lot of really close Oasis maps that went, 3 points. And the guys just did a really good job of just staying focused. We have a really competitive team. Everyone really wants to win. And I think that kind of carried us through some of those really tight matches.
So going into stage 4, we're likely going to see Brigitte, as well as some of the other changes. I just had Bren from Overwatch League on the show this morning, and he was saying that he thinks that this might be the toughest meta for Boston yet. How confident are you with the new meta going into stage 4?
So our approach is always to be a little bit cautious about making broad assumptions about the meta going into a stage. So for us, it's going to be, for the most part, going into scrims this week, we're going to be using the comps that we feel comfortable on, the things that have worked for us in the past. And then we're going to kind of feel out, on certain points where we're not having success, or if we see another team using something that's really effective, at that point, we're going to look to try to either, build new strategies or adopt something that someone else is using. I personally don't feel like the changes that are coming in for stage 4 are going to be as impactful as some, people think. I don't think Brigitte is going to be a, perma-run hero that people are using on every map. I think she's going to be kind of a niche hero that's used in certain situations. But I think especially because her healing is a little bit inconsistent, she doesn't have vertical mobility, I think she's going to be somewhat dependent on maps. So I think you're going to see her on some points, but not others. So I don't think going into the stage, I don't feel like the meta is going to be tremendously different from what it was in stage 3. And so I think we're going to have no issues adapting.
Well, that's something that we've kind of seen be a theme over time is, and I've definitely been there, is kind of a community overreaction to buffs and nerfs. People were really worried about Sombra going into stage 3. I even had Dak and Nomi on the show who had said that, hey, Sombra, whatever team figures out Sombra is going to be the best team in the league. And we just saw her used very conservatively throughout, the entire stage. So I definitely can see how that could be the case with Brigitte as well. So I guess we'll have to see. I can let you go here in a second, and we can get HuK on here, but I've got one more question for you, and that's Boston fans, in my opinion, are some of the best in the league. We've got a lot of really passionate ones in our Discord who are so great, so passionate about the Uprising. Any messages for your Boston Uprising fans out there?
Yeah, just I guess I want to say thank you to you guys for supporting us this whole season. I know, going into the season, expectations were really low for a lot of people. And for you guys that really believed in us from day one and stuck with it, I just want to say a special thank you to you guys, especially for our players. It really means a lot. Seeing you guys in the crowd, even though we're in LA, really kind of helps our players, especially when we're playing against those LA teams and they have a lot of fans out there. Seeing, a couple of people kind of fighting back almost in the crowd really helps our players, stay calm, kind of feel that support. And coming out here to Boston and seeing everyone in person has been really great. So just thank you to everyone who showed up or who even wanted to show up and meet the guys. I'm sure we'll be back here, sometime in this off season. So if you didn't get to show up, definitely try to see us next time we're out here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shay. Good luck to you in Stage 4. Enjoy Boston. Enjoy the food. That was my favorite part about visiting Boston was the food. So enjoy, eat healthily, and good luck again.
Thank you. I'll pass you off the HuK right now.
Great. Happy birthday, I believe, is in order.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Shout out to your Boston Uprising Discord mods for making sure that I'm reminded of that. So,
nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Discord mods. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to spend a few minutes with me. I really appreciate it. I know we're not quite the national radio of 98.5 here, but I really appreciate it.
We do what we can for the little guy. We're here supporting you.
Thanks a lot. I mean, I guess I'll start it off right away with saying, how are you enjoying Boston so far? Have you spent a lot of time in Boston in the past?
A little bit. So actually, before I took this job, about a year beforehand, I went to their MIT Flow and Analytics Conference, which is kind of, I would say, partnered or affiliated to some degree with the Craft Group, which was a cool experience. Went here with some of my traditional sports buddies. And then since I've taken the job, I've been to Foxborough a lot, but not so much Boston. Very good trip. Everyone's enjoyed it a lot. They love Boston, and that's always a big pull factor for the team.
Sure. So, before we get kind of started and talk about the game a little bit and the Uprising, I'd just love to hear, how's the tour going so far? I heard you had a huge turnout for the meet and greet yesterday. Sounds like it's been pretty successful.
Yeah, I think within the first day, we opened signings and we're expecting or hoping for at least, 500 people to sign up. And I think within the first day, 900 or 1,000 signed up, and then we had to actually close the sign up because there's too many and we didn't want to disappoint people. So definitely next time when we come out here, we're going to plan for a little bit more. But even that, the guys are all very happy. It's hard to be out in LA playing in that studio. We have a few fans, of course, that show up, but it's, mostly for other teams, mostly the Western teams, obviously, the two LA teams. So it's cool that the guys got to see all their fans and feel, the support and love that, the city brings, even though we can't experience that on a weekly basis out there.
Definitely. I want to ask you a little bit about Stage 3. Stage 3, obviously, walking away 10-0 was an incredible showing by the Uprising, but it was also a pretty turbulent one, I can imagine, as a president of gaming, with some roster changes and some personnel changes. How are you able to kind of stay on top of how, I would say, dynamic this stage went in between games?
I think the bottom line is, staff, players, me, everyone, we want to win. We want to be a successful team. And to do that, you got to put your best foot forward no matter the circumstances, right? There are going to be things that happen in life that you can't control, and you got to focus on the things that you can control. So, despite the adversity we had to overcome, everyone just, really focused on improving and doing what we could to fix the problems. And as we went through that process, even though it was obviously a difficult one for, on a day-to-day basis for everyone, we just did our best. And the hard work and the effort and the grind that everyone contributes to, put us to be a better team by the end of the stage.
What about Blizzard? So a big hot topic, I'm sure if you've been perusing Reddit and the forums and things like that, has been about how the Overwatch League currently is addressing patches. And right now we're going to be seeing, it looks like a patch that may be a few weeks old, Brigitte in, but maybe not some of the Hanzo changes. From your perspective as a president of gaming and someone who's, I understand, is pretty involved in kind of the team's direction, what are your thoughts currently on how Overwatch League is treating patches? Are you a fan of the current system, or would you like to see more recent patches, more time to prepare?
Sure. So, I mean, I guess I'll preface this as it's always a difficult choice, right? You know, after talking to a lot of different companies, working with them, it's never an easy choice whether to, you know, play on the current patch. There's a lot of things, unforeseen circumstances, money even involved when you have to patch the game, that come up when you come out with, you know, these big changes that are going to, you know, shift the meta significantly. So sure. That being said, I'm personally in favor of, you know, whatever is played in Overwatch League should be the same that is live. I am for more of the, I guess, Valve Dota 2 method where everyone kind of has to adapt and progress at the same time. Why it works so well in Dota 2, though, is because they have these circuit events that happen, you know, maybe once a month or twice a month, and they can, you know, put the patch in between those events. For Overwatch League, it's not the case, right? You have 2 matches every week, and you have a 1-week stage break, and there really isn't a lot of time for them to, you know, have it go live, have all the teams practice it, fix the bugs, and, you know, whatever balance that needs to happen within the patch or heroes or, you know, whatever it might be. So it's a very difficult situation. All of that being said, I'm still in favor, you know, of whatever is live is what Overwatch League is playing and vice versa. But I understand that there's a lot more to it than just that or let's delay the patch, right?
Sure. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I mean, going into stage 4, we are still going to be seeing some of those changes. And I asked Shake this question. I'd love to ask you this question too, is how confident are you feeling about the Uprising continuing their momentum into stage 4? Are you guys feeling pretty confident again? Or, you know, Bren was on the show just this morning, actually, and he says he thinks that the Uprising might struggle a little bit in this new meta.
I mean, to be honest, we have not played the new patch with Brigitte added yet. We're currently obviously out in Boston, so we haven't had time to practice or scrim. I think no matter what, we're not going to be a bad team. The plan was and still currently is to be the best team we can make, the best team we can be by the end of the year and make playoffs, right? And I think that bottom line is always going to push us to adapt and do what we need to do. But you know, there's a level of uncertainty for us. I mean, just because we went 10-0 in the last stage does not mean we're going to do the same thing in the next stage or maybe even come close to it. It's just we always have to do our best and, you know, let the chips fall where they may.
Sure. Well, HuK, I really got to thank you for taking time on your birthday to sit down with me. I really appreciate it. I've got one more quick question for you. Obviously, you're seeing your fans there in Boston, but we've got a lot of Boston fans listening to this show. So any message for your Boston fans listening to the show?
Yeah, I guess just thank you for all the support. Our trip, you know, to Boston has been, I think, a hallmark thing for the guys, and they're not going to forget it. So thank you so much for the support. Even when we don't get to see you face to face, you know, all the Twitter engagement, the comments on Discord, everything we see and we hear, we really appreciate, and we couldn't do it without you guys. So, you know, much love and thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, HuK.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.